Many of the abilities in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous are oftentimes overlooked, misunderstood, or even flat out ignored. And how do I know this? Well, I'm guilty of it myself, and I do see many others doing it as well. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the basic abilities, the ones that all of your characters will get access to right away at level 1, and show you how powerful and useful some of these can actually be. For more Pathfinder content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Links to my Twitter and my Discord server will be below. Let's jump right in. Before we get into it, I first want to mention that I accidentally drank a potion of mage armor with my paladin Sela, so I wanted to mention that before I start getting comments on that because I know how YouTube works. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look above the hotkey bar, and you'll notice there's an S for spells, an A for abilities, and a B for your belt, and we're of course going to be focusing on the abilities tab in this video. The abilities that are showing up when you click on the abilities tab are your active abilities, the abilities that you actually have to turn on and off yourself. And if we go into the character sheet under abilities, you can see that this list is much more extensive because now it's showing the ones that you have to turn on and off or activate yourself alongside all of the passive abilities that that specific character class or build also gets. But like I said in the intro to the video, 6 of these abilities every single character is going to get access to, and the 6 abilities that create the foundation of your abilities tab are Charge, Coup De Grace, Treat Affliction, Demoralize Persuasion, Fighting Defensively, Acrobatics Mobility, and Inspire Rage Except Effect. The first ability I'll start off with is none other than the Charge ability, and a lot of you guys probably already know what this is, but maybe stick around because it gets a little bit more complex when you switch from turn-based to real-time with pause. So Charge costs a full round action, meaning it uses up your move action and also your standard action, and is described as a special action that allows you to move up to double your normal speed and attack during the same action. So normally when you move double your movement speed, it costs your move bar and also your standard action, meaning you don't have an action left to actually attack your opponent. To charge, you have to be at least 10 feet away from your opponent and also have a clear path, meaning there can't be an item, an enemy, or a friendly blocking the path to get to the opponent that you want to charge to, otherwise you won't be able to do it. After moving, you can make a single melee attack with a +2 to its attack roll, meaning you're more likely to land that attack than the regular attacks that you make in combat, at the cost of a -2 penalty to your character's armor class until the beginning of your next turn. So in turn-based mode, you have to wait until it resets back to your character's turn for that -2 penalty to go away, and in real-time with pause mode, you have to wait 6 seconds or so, and then that -2 will go away. So the main reason why Charge is so useful is that you can get that extended movement distance while also attacking all in the same turn. So let's go ahead and aggro some enemies in the next room. So Sela, the paladin in my party, is obviously the tank and the frontline melee damage dealer, and Stompy, my Triceratops pet, also serves a similar purpose. But you guys will notice that I can only move this far with Sela until it starts cutting into my standard action, meaning it costs a full action and I won't be able to attack in Sela's turn. If we use Charge, we can go ahead and cover that distance and also get off an attack. Now Charge will of course also work in real-time with pause mode, but it might be a little bit frustrating because you have to keep in mind that in this mode there's still rounds and turns. It's just happening in real time. So if we go up here and initiate combat and we attempt to charge with Stompy at this character in the back left, first we have to take a look at the initiative order, and you guys will see that Stompy rolled a 7 while a bunch of characters actually rolled higher than Stompy. So for Stompy's charge, he has to wait, looks like 6 seconds for it to even go off. And if we take a look at somebody that rolled higher in the initiative order, like Wenduag, which I just switched to a melee weapon for her, even though I typically wouldn't be doing that, her charge will activate right away. So let's go ahead and click it, and you can see, well, she has 1 second until her charge activates. So make sure that you guys keep that in mind. Now going back and starting this combat encounter over, if I sneak up here and don't let them actually spot me, my charge is going to activate right away at the start of combat, as you guys can see right there. So that might be a little bit frustrating when you wonder why your charge is being delayed. Just make sure to look at the initiative order. The next ability is extremely powerful, but perhaps one of the most underused, and that's probably because its name is a bit confusing and also its description, and it also requires the help of another party member, and that ability is Coup De Grace, or Final Blow. So Coup De Grace costs a full round action, meaning it uses up your move action and also your standard action, just like Charge did, and you have to have a melee weapon and your opponent has to be helpless. So helpless in Pathfinder is a condition where your opponent is sleeping, paralyzed, or unconscious, and I think there's a few other ways to actually cause it. So any spells or abilities that you have that cause your opponent to fall asleep or be paralyzed or fall unconscious is going to cause the helpless condition, allowing you to do a Coup De Grace. Common examples would be the sleep spells, slumber hacks, color spray might even do it, hold person. Just keep an eye out for all of the new things that you get that might cause this helpless condition to allow you to do Coup De Grace. So if an opponent is helpless and you activate Coup De Grace, you automatically hit and score a critical hit, which is already insanely powerful as it is, meaning you're going to do double the damage. If the defender survives the damage that you deal to them, they now must make a fortitude save, and right here it tells you how that save is calculated, and if they don't succeed on the fortitude save, they just outright die. So not only are you doing a critical hit, which in and of itself is really powerful for this ability, if they fail a fortitude save, that opponent is just completely gone out of the combat encounter, making Coup De Grace insanely powerful. So make sure to start trying to use it early on so you really solidify it into your combat strategy. Now Coup De Grace also provokes attacks of opportunity, so keep that in mind. So if you want to do this and you have like 5 enemies surrounding your character and you activate Coup De Grace, they're all going to get an attack of opportunity on your character, making it probably not worth it. But many times you won't have 5 enemies around, maybe you only have 1, and it's worth doing the Coup De Grace. So let's go ahead and try this out on the same enemies that we were doing charge on. I'm just going to run right into combat really quick, get the initiative started, and let's go ahead and do a slumber spell on this character in the back. Slumber Hex with Camellia. Now that character's asleep. Now if I take Stompy and move him over here, it also works with your animal companions. Stompy's probably going to take an attack of opportunity, but that's okay. Let's move Stompy over here, click on Coup De Grace, and watch this character disappear to Avernus. And there you go. And we can also take a look at the combat log here. Stompy deals 14 damage, times 2, which was the critical hit. And then the sharpshooter also failed their saving throw, and they instantly died because of that. So do not overlook Coup De Grace. Start learning what spells and abilities that you get that will cause opponents to become helpless, and then have your melee characters take advantage of it, as long as they don't have like 5 enemies surrounding them to where they're going to suffer attacks of opportunity. The next basic ability that many players forget that they have is called Treat Affliction, and it's pretty self-explanatory. As you guys can see, I'm jumping around the different save files, and now my dwarf is riding the Triceratops. This is my favorite character ever. So Treat Affliction basically allows you to get rid of a disease or poison on one character, and to do this you have to exceed the DC of the affliction by doing a lore religion check. So characters that have more points into lore and religion and also have a higher wisdom modifier will stand a better chance of actually treating the affliction. Also keep in mind that a character can only receive Treat Affliction once per day, so just keep that in mind. All right, on to the next skill, which is called Demoralize Persuasion. So Demoralize will cost a standard action, and what it basically does is if you succeed on a persuasion skill check against an opponent's DC, which is equal to 10 plus their hit dice plus their wisdom modifier, if you succeed on that skill check, you're going to cause them to be shaken. So basically the idea behind this is that you're doing a proud, bold display of confidence and intimidation that is going to scare your opponent, causing them to be shaken. And when an opponent is shaken, they have a -2 penalty to their attack roll, to their saving throws, and also to their ability checks. And this will last up to 1 round plus 1 round for every 5 by which you beat the DC. If you cast Demoralize on an opponent, again, it doesn't make anything stronger, but it does increase the actual duration of Demoralize. So obviously this skill is better for characters that have high charisma and have put points into persuasion, such as Darren, who has a +5 charisma modifier and 18 total points into persuasion. So I'll show you guys an example of me using it right now with Darren. So as long as you're within 30 feet and you can see and hear the opponent that you want to use Demoralize on, you should be able to get the opportunity to do it. So let's go ahead, and using Darren, we're going to cast Demoralize on this demon in the back and see what happens. Darren's casting it right now. And there he goes. And as you guys can see, the opponent is now shaken, and they're taking a -2 penalty to attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks, making them much weaker. Now, the cool thing about Demoralize also is that it does not take into account spell resistance on an enemy. So if you have an enemy that has a high spell resistance, don't worry about using Demoralize. It should work as long as you overcome their DC. The next ability is called Fighting Defensively, and this can be really, really useful. This is an ability that you have to turn on and also turn off when you don't want it to be active. So it's pretty easy to understand. You get a +2 dodge bonus to your armor class at the cost of taking a -4 penalty on attack rolls and combat maneuver checks. So basically you're increasing your armor class at the cost of probably missing more of your actual attacks on the enemies that you attack. Now if you have 3 or more ranks in mobility, you actually get a +3 dodge bonus to your armor class as opposed to the +2. So when do you want to actually activate Fighting Defensively? I pretty much only use it when I'm facing a boss that is insanely powerful, or if my tank is just taking a ton of damage and I want to just reduce the chances of taking damage by increasing their armor class, giving that tank more survivability, and not caring as much about how much damage that individual character does. For example, this boss right up here, it's not really a boss, but this is actually a really hard opponent in the game. And if I'm sending Stompy in first as my tank who's going to take aggro, I probably will actually initiate Fighting Defensively to hopefully keep Stompy alive longer so my other characters can stay alive in the back and do the real damage. Make sure that you guys keep in mind that once you activate it, like I said, you have to turn it off. So many times I'll activate it and then I'll forget that I have it on, and then for the duration that it's on, I'm doing less damage because I'm hitting less often because of that -4 penalty to attack rolls. So just make sure that you actively turn it on and off when you want it on and off. All right, that's it for that one. On to the next one, which is called Acrobatics Mobility. I have talked about this skill in other videos. This is also one that's kind of misunderstood or overlooked, but it can be very, very, very beneficial. So when you toggle this ability on, what it does is it cuts your movement speed in half, but now you can actually move through a threatened square without provoking an attack of opportunity. So if I go up to this enemy right here with Camellia, if I turn around right now and walk away, I'm going to take an attack of opportunity. There's a chance that it might miss, but this guy is going to get a free attack on me, as you guys can see right there. But if I come right back up to him and toggle on Acrobatics Mobility, now when I walk away and turn my back to this opponent, the game's going to do a mobility skill check, and I have a chance of outright avoiding the attack of opportunity in the first place. So let's turn on Acrobatics, and now I'm going to turn away. Let the turn go on a little bit. Let's go ahead and run back this way. And as you guys can see right down here in the bottom right, Camellia mobility check succeeded, and there was no there's no attack of opportunity. I still got hit, but there was no attack of opportunity when she moved away. So make sure to keep this in mind, and when you have to reposition on the battlefield but you have opponents in melee range of you, toggle this on, give yourself a chance at avoiding that attack of opportunity and therefore taking a lot less damage. Also, one more thing to keep in mind that I'll quickly mention is if you're a spellcaster and you cast a spell in a melee opponent's face, you're also going to set off an attack of opportunity if you don't succeed on a concentration check. So by default in this game, as a caster, if you cast a spell on a melee opponent's face, you're going to have to do a concentration check, and if you fail, you take an attack of opportunity and your spell can be interrupted. If you turn on Acrobatics Mobility with a spellcaster, what this is going to do is allow you to do 2 concentration checks as opposed to 1, giving you a better chance of actually getting that spell off without taking an attack of opportunity. This is something that more players need to understand that they have, and toggle it on when you need it on, and when you don't need it on, make sure to turn it off so you get your movement speed back. All right, the final skill that final ability that I'm going to talk about is called Inspire Rage Accept Effect, and it's described as this ability allows the character to accept the effects of Inspire Rage. If it's disabled, the character won't accept the effects of Inspire Rage from any Scald. So Scald is a class in this game, and they have an ability or feature called Inspire Rage, which basically boosts allies' strength and I think chance to hit at the cost of not allowing those allies that accept the rage to be able to cast spells. So if you're like a melee fighter or something, you have a Scald in your group that's going to Inspire Rage, you probably want to accept it by turning it on right here. And if you're a spellcaster, you probably want to make sure that you have it off. So if I'm playing as, I don't really have any spellcasters right now, but let's just say I didn't want it on my paladin, I would simply just turn it on. You can see that it's now lit up, and I won't actually accept those rage effects, and I'll still just be my basic Sela who can cast spells and deal damage, but I won't be getting that boost that the rage actually gives. So only keep that in mind if you have someone in your party that can inspire rage. If not, you don't have to worry about it. I would just turn it off so you don't have to look at it. And that'll be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for those of you guys that made it all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Many of you guys have noticed that I'm focusing more so on beginner's guides for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and that is simply because I am a beginner myself. I'm not advanced. I don't know all the advanced stuff in this game. I'm kind of just really trying to focus in on the core knowledge and the foundation of this game to help myself and then share that knowledge with you guys as we progress together. So thank you guys so much. I'll catch you guys on the next one.